Well, hi everyone. It's Mrs. Perryman. Hope you're doing okay today. I thought we'd do a lesson today on dressings and dips. So, if you want to follow along here, I'm going to share my slideshow. And gosh, doesn't that look yummy? So let's talk about a little bit of vocab first. So when you talk about a vinaigrette, a true vinaigrette, that is just a mixture of oil and vinegar, and it will just be pretty light. It will lightly coat the lettuce or whatever type of green that you're using in the salad. And if you'll notice, like in this picture over here on the slide, you can see where that is kind of separated, and that is very typical of a basic vinaigrette dressing. The oil will float to the top and the vinegar will be at the bottom, and so you have to shake that before you pour it onto your salad. Sometimes you'll even see separate containers or separate bottles that have oil in one and vinegar in the other. And it again is a light, kind of a crisp taste to it. Sometimes it'll have a few herbs added to it, maybe a little salt and pepper, but a pretty simple mixture. Okay. And that's what we call a suspension. So, which is your second vocabulary word here, suspension, and that is a temporary mixture of those ingredients that are going to settle back into their unique parts again, which is definitely what's happening with a vinaigrette. Whenever we talk about emulsification, emulsification is a process where we can cause those two things to remain permanently mixed, such as in the case of mayonnaise, for instance. Mayonnaise stays mixed, but it's basically a salad dressing. But it has oil in it, and it has some acid in it, usually in the form of maybe lemon juice. But it also has eggs added to it, and the egg that is in that particular mixture is the thing that causes it to emulsify, and that means that it is going to stay together permanently, so it won't separate like just the vinegar and oil will. Another thing that we use as an emulsifier, Dijon mustard, and you'll see that pretty frequently also in those emulsified salad dressings. Adds some flavor, and it also binds those elements together so they don't separate. So these would be some good vocabulary words to be familiar with, and I think you'll see them again on your vocab assignment. Okay, so here's another one, good old mayonnaise. Okay, and that is a really common dressing. You'll see that used in potato salads and pasta salads, and is again a really common dressing that people use. A lot of times it will be bought pre-made in a jar like Hellmann's or something like that, but you can definitely make your own mayonnaise at home, which is, no Southern girl would dare buy store-bought mayonnaise. And definitely have to make it yourself. And so we'll talk about that in your next scheduled class day. But there are some mayonnaise-based dressings. Russian, Thousand Island, blue cheese, all of those begin life as a version of mayonnaise, and then there are other herbs and other things added to it to cause it to have the flavors that we know and love. Okay, and here's another good vocabulary word, this nap consistency. And if you'll notice in my picture here, you can see where we've got a mixture that we are stirring, and then someone has run their finger down the back side of that spoon. And what that means is that mixture is thick enough to coat the back of a spoon and hold that, as opposed to just running off. And so that's how you know it determines a specific thickness in your mixture. And so that's a good term whenever a lot of times recipes will have a description of what something should look like when it is complete or when it's been mixed properly or what the end result should be. And so that's a good description, a good descriptive word for you to know how thick something should be. Okay, and then dip. Dips oftentimes to me are a little bit different in as salad dressings in that sometimes they have bigger chunks in it or maybe even be a little bit thicker. So dips, I was thinking maybe like artichoke dip or guacamole, for instance. Those are a little bit different texture than a salad dressing, although we could probably make salad dressing out of things like that if we thinned it down or if it wasn't chunky. So those are some differences in a dressing and a dip. Okay, so look at this. I thought the colors were so pretty in this particular display of oil and vinegar. And these are bottles that are designed, one part of the bottle holds the oil and one part of the bottle holds the vinegar. So whenever you put these on your salad, you can use both. But how interesting of a display is that? Okay, and remember that oil and vinegar just on their own with no emulsifiers, they will not stay mixed. But this is the design of the glass here. But I thought those were so interesting. There's lots of different kinds of oils that we use in salad dressings, and oils can have lots of different flavors. If you think about baking, for instance, whenever we bake a cake, we usually use vegetable oil as opposed to, say, olive oil, and that's because of the flavor. Because like a vegetable oil has a really mild, light taste, whereas olive oil has a distinct, almost kind of a, I don't know, like a fruity kind of a taste that, there are olive oil cakes, but it's not a typical go-to baking type oil. So, but let's talk about some of these different kinds of oils that you may see people making salad dressings out of. So those light vinaigrette type oils, you might see, you'll see a light salad that maybe just a real simple salad that's just greens may need a really light kind of an oil and vinegar dressing. Whereas a heavy salad, maybe like a chef salad, for instance, it has the egg and the cheese and the ham, all that's really heavy, and it would stand up to like ranch dressing or blue cheese dressing, which is really thick. Different oils, things like walnut oil, for instance, definitely have the flavor of the thing that it's derived from the walnuts, and so it adds a profile to the dressing that you really wouldn't get with a really light oil like a vegetable oil or a soy oil or a canola oil. Okay, peanut oil, a lot of people fry things in peanut oil because it has a high smoke temperature, so you can get that oil nice and hot without worrying about the oil breaking down and starting to smoke. The only thing about the nut-based oils is that some people have nut allergies, and so we have to be aware that it might not be suitable for all people or all applications. We definitely would have to let people know if we use those particular oils, just because we wouldn't want anybody to have an allergic reaction. But there are lots and lots of different kinds of oils. Some of them are more heart healthy than others, and some of them have very interesting flavors and would make wonderful salad dressings. Okay, so vinegars, let's talk about some vinegars for just a minute. Balsamic vinegar is probably the king of vinegars. And if you can see in this picture over here on the right, those casks, they look like wine barrels, and actually they are a version of that. And it is actually, the vinegar is aged in these barrels a long time, and it is very, when you try balsamic vinegar, it's sweet and tart. It's almost kind of syrupy, and very, very dark brown in color. Okay, this is down here on the bottom. You can see how kind of a very dark brown that is. It has a really rich taste to it, that you'll see it used in lots of different kinds of dressings. So you probably heard of apple cider vinegar. It's made from apples, hence the name. It does have kind of a little bit more of a brown color as opposed to white vinegar, and it's a little bit sweet because it is made from apples, which have some sugar. And it's nice for things like slaw and things that kind of have, you want to have that bright vinegar pop of tartness, but also, like I said, has a little bit of sweet. Okay, you can buy lots of flavored vinegars too. So like raspberry vinegar, for instance, wouldn't that be lovely to make a salad dressing out of? Sometimes you'll see other vinegars with other flavors. Sometimes you'll see garlic added, or different herbs added to it, which will also add that flavor profile to the dressing that you're using, that you're making it, that you're using it to make. Some other vinegars that you might see: sherry vinegar. So we have some of that here at school that we have used before. You may see some rice vinegar. We're going to use that in some of our Asian cooking. And let's see, just good old plain white vinegar. And it has definitely got that, just that true vinegar taste. You know, vinegar has lots of applications too. Vinegar is often used for sanitizing things or cleaning things. And so not just for cooking, it has some other really great uses too. And you may see some version of red wine or white wine vinegar, or even champagne vinegar. And those are all made and allowed to age, and so that that wine turns into vinegar over time, and makes for a lovely flavor to add to many dishes. All right, here's your vinaigrette dressing. And again, those are just those two things, vinegar and oil. Okay, sometimes vinegar, sometimes you'll see vinegar which is what we're calling an acid. Sometimes you might see it as lemon juice and not vinegar. Or sometimes you may see that as a mixture. Sometimes it might be lemon juice or orange juice or lime juice, but some type of a citric, something with an acid-based bite. So the traditional mixture of a vinaigrette dressing is 3 parts oil to 1 part vinegar. Now sometimes we'll bump up that tartness just a little bit. But traditionally, if you're mixing that, 3 parts oil and 1 part vinegar, and remember that those are going to separate. So before you pour it on your salad, you may want to shake it, or you're applying it as 2 separate items. Okay, and that suspension, remember that emulsified vinaigrette where we have added that other emulsifier, that ingredient that causes it to stay mixed as opposed to separating. In your book, there is a step-by-step, there are step-by-step instructions on how to make an emulsified vinaigrette. So if you want to check that out, you can look in your book here. So what the way it works is you have your obviously your oil and your vinegar, but some other things that we're adding in there. Maybe again something like an egg or an egg yolk. Or maybe you'll see Dijon mustard and those types of things will cling to those agents that generally separate and then cause them to remain mixed. And so this particular dressing here is a strawberry based dressing. And so they have used frozen strawberries and given those a whiz in the food processor and added their oil and vinegar. And then this particular dressing has Dijon mustard added to cause that to cling together. And boy, that looks really good. All right, and then here's some dips that you have, I feel like pretty sure that you've heard of. Good old guacamole dip, which is made from avocado. And sometimes people add only just a few things, maybe like a little bit of garlic, maybe some lime juice perhaps. Sometimes people womp it up with things like tomatoes and maybe some roasted peppers and different things like that. But however they do it, it is all delicious. And down in the bottom here on the right, you can see salsa. And you know, salsa is not just tomatoes. And salsa can even be made from fruit, things like watermelon, things like pineapple, things like mango, even strawberries. And so, but typically salsa has a little kick to it. It has some peppers in it, usually onions and maybe cilantro or some type of a kind of a spices that we might associate with Mexican cooking. And this week, actually, we are going to be making some quesadillas that have a fruit salsa. So I hope you'll enjoy checking that out. Another kind of a dip that we have made here at school several times, most of you are probably familiar with hummus. And hummus is made from chickpeas, which are beans actually. And hummus can come in a lot of different flavors, red bell pepper or garlic, or and you can even make hummus out of other things besides chickpeas. The thing that makes hummus though is the addition of tahini, which is a sesame paste, which kind of is a little bit thinner than peanut butter, but it's made from sesame seeds that are ground like peanut butter would be. And then that is added in with the beans and the other flavorings to make the dip. And it's just, if you haven't tried it before, it really just tastes like bean dip. But it's tasty and quite yummy on things like pita chips. And good old queso cheese dip, yum. So we'll see that pretty often, usually served with corn chips, or you may see it served on top of something like a enchilada, something like that. It's quite good. Plum sauce, if you guys like things like egg rolls or wontons, a lot of times you'll see that served with plum sauce. That's that sweet kind of red pink sauce that is sweet, and sometimes they'll have a little bit of a vinegary taste and a little bit of a peppery sweet bite, but it is quite good. And then good old spinach and artichoke dip, and usually that is served hot and served with either toasted little bits of bread, or sometimes you'll see it with pita chips also. But it is creamy and pretty delicious also. All right. So, well, that's the last of the salad dressing and dip slides that I have for you. There is, if you go out on Moodle, you've got a couple of things today to look at. There is, I put the slideshow there, and then you have vocab, and then there are some questions. And so if you'll get on Moodle today and check that out and get those things turned in by next Tuesday, that would be fantastic. I'm looking forward to seeing everybody and hearing all about your holiday experiences, and glad to get back to normal, being back to school. and hope you all are doing well. And I am here at school all day. And so if you need something, if you're not sure what to do or need help with something or just want to say hi, I would love to hear from you. You know, you can always call me or text me or email me, and I'm happy to talk to you. And if I can do anything for you, you let me know. Okay, you guys take care, and I will see you on your next scheduled day. Bye-bye.